Welcome, fellow educators. So one of the things that I use, or one of the programs that I use all the time to create my materials for class is Canva. Being a math teacher, sometimes I need to create extra worksheets or extra materials or even videos. I create a lot of videos for my students, and I use another software for like solving problems, but for creating problems like worksheets, quizzes, things like that. I have found that Canva is a really great way to go. It's easier to use than Illustrator or InDesign, and I love the ability to pull in fun things like graphics and whatnot. And to me, it is an expense that is worth it, so I invest with a pro account. Pro account right now is only $13 a month. That's basically 2 trips to Starbucks if you're only getting coffee, or 1 trip to Starbucks if, like me, you have to get that cream cheese Danish. So basically, I'm saying it's relatively affordable, and I also get the year at a time subscription, which is like $100, a little over $100. Which gives you the 10% discount over the course of what you would have spent the whole year. But if you can't do that, I totally understand. Use the free version. There's still a lot of stuff that you can use in the free version, including what I'm about to show you. So I need a quiz. We're having a short day, and so we don't have time to do like a full worksheet in class. We don't have time to do all of those things, but we do still need to address some things. And so I have pulled the most missed problems. We use a online software, and it gives us stats on their what we call pods or their modules for homework, and it tells me which problems they missed the most. So I'm going to pull problems like that and create a worksheet for us to do in class so I can target those individuals and help them understand those specific problems. Those are the ones that we need to go over, and so that's what we're going to do. So what you can do, what I do sometimes, what you can do is you can search for like math worksheet, which you see I've done before, and you can find a lot of good Canva templates that already exist, and it really just depends on your style, and it depends on your math level. I do find that most of the templates provided are for elementary or pre-algebra, 7th and 8th grade, early easy math, right? Not Algebra 1, Algebra 2, which is what I teach. So, the advanced maths are just not represented here very well. So I'm going to create a blank. Actually, I think I'm going to just use this little one right here, not because I am going to use anything on the worksheet, but because it already has a header that I want to use. So I'm just going to click this, and I'm going to click customize, and I'm just going to use the header because that's all I want to use out of here. I don't want the background. I'm taking that out, and I don't want anything else in here except for the header. That's all I want. So I'm just going to take it, and I'm going to enlarge that a little bit. And I want to make sure that this is the size page that I want it to be. I want it to be 8.5. Let me make sure. All right, so it is 8.5 by 11. Resize this design. Resize it. And that only comes with Pro, by the way. All right, so now I know for a fact that this is 8.5 by 11. It may have already been. I'm not sure. So one of the things I like about Canva is the fact that I can know that something is centered just by picking it up and dragging it. You see this purple line in the middle? That tells me when you are dragging something around, you see the purple line. Oh, I'm centered. Yay, I can let go. So now I can just leave that. And what I want to do is I want to lock this down. I don't want it to go anywhere. So I'm going to click the lock button. That doesn't get moved now. None of that will be moved. It is static, and I can circle whatever I want on the page. It will not be selected accidentally. So that's a feature that you might want to look at using. When you get something where you want it, just lock it, and then you don't have to worry about losing it. Okay, so I've got some problems I need to put on here. And one of the things, or one of the reasons why I really wanted to make this video was to show you how to use LaTeX or LaTeX, that is the right way to say that, for more advanced math problems as a worksheet. So you're going to go down here. If you look in the apps, just search for LaTeX, LaTeX, and you should be able to find it. You might have to put it together. Yes, LaTeX Math, that's the one you want to use. So we go to that. I've already installed it on my little bar over here so I can get to it quickly. And then you're just going to type in what you want. Now, if you don't know how to use LaTeX, you do have to know the formulas. But if you don't know the formulas, look, it's so easy. You don't have to be an expert. Just use the internet. So if you want to type in a complex whatever, there are tons of websites where you just Google, how do I do what I want to do? And at bu.edu, I've even found their LaTeX like a directory. It's a command summary. And it has all the commands that you could possibly ever want for LaTeX, and written in 1999. And it even shows you the ones that are math mode. It has that out to the side, right? So you can really easily, if you don't know the shortcut key on your keyboard, you can use LaTeX to create whatever it is that you want to do. So I highly recommend finding something like this, just Googling for LaTeX command summary and getting that document, printing it out, and keeping it as a reference next to you, or, bookmarking it on your computer so that you can go back and look for it whenever you need to, so that you can find whatever command it is. And I especially like this last couple little pages. Let me go scroll down. Here's like the ones that I use all the time. That's more text, but the ones down here on this page where it has the symbols that you would use as a math person that you don't really get access to on a keyboard so much, right? So like your sines, your cosines, like you don't have an arc symbol, your epsilon, all of your little symbols, your plus or minus, your times symbol, your times dot, all of these, your division symbol, all of those symbols that you may or may not know how to use on your keyboard. Like I know how to make this on my keyboard using option question mark. So I don't necessarily need LaTeX for that, but it's there if you do need it. And all of these symbols are easily accessible, and it works through the Canva app as well. All right, so let me show you how I would do a problem using LaTeX. So here I've got one where I want the student to find M. So what I typically do is I do the problems first, and then I put in the instructions. So I need to find M, and this is going to be one of those where they rearrange letters. They're struggling a little bit with that, so I'm going to put this in. So if I'm going to create a fraction, FRAC, and then you just put in a double set of brackets. And whatever you want in the numerator, you put in the first bracket. Whatever you want in the denominator, you put in the second bracket. So in the first bracket, I'm going to put P minus S, and in the bottom bracket, it goes M. And then I have an operation of subtraction. I have another fraction, bracket, bracket. Numerator goes C, denominator goes 4. And then I have plus X is equal to 0. That is my problem, right? I'm going to add it to the design, and you can see it adds it rather large, and I want to bring that down. So now it's a reasonable size, and I want to use the same font that I have here. I'm going to unlock it just to find the font. The font is Quicksand. I'm going to, instead of trying to go back to my text editor, I'm just going to go Control C, Control V, copy it, bring it down. That is the font that I want to use. And then all I have to do is highlight all of this again and lock it back in place. And now it's good to go. So now I can type in find M as my instructions. And there's my problem. All right, so there's, I can either do it to the side. I think I'll do it to the side like that. And then give them room at the bottom. So there's one problem. Now I'm going to do another problem. Now instead of starting in LaTex again, if you do that, you're going to have to resize everything again. So I'm just going to copy and paste my problem, bring it over here. Let's center it. And this one is going to be find P. So find P. And I'm going to change this. Notice it's not a brand new LaTex. It's the same as a copy of the original one. And the reason for that is sizing. You'll have to size the new one down every single time, or you can just take a copy and then adjust it, which is what I'm going to do. So in this one, the first fraction, the numerator is M, and the denominator is P plus S. And then I have minus C over X plus 4 is equal to 0. I'm going to update. And now you can see it's the same size as this one. I don't have to guess about that. And it is the new, when you click update, it updates that. And since it was basically the same shape, the same number of terms, with the same number of components, resizing, I don't even have to worry about it, right? The only thing I have to do is kind of scooch this over and make it fit next to the P a little bit closer. Maybe that's about right. Maybe a little bit more. The only thing I don't like about Canva is sometimes alignment is a little bit of a headache because it wants to align, like self-align and snap to certain things. I don't necessarily like that. I wish it was more of a free alignment and the guides were just there. Hey, do you want to align it over here? As opposed to making it snap automatically. I'd like to get rid of the snap and I've suggested it, but we'll see. We'll see if that comes away as an option. All right, so there's a couple more problems that we need to put in here. And I'm going to copy this original problem for the sake of, I want to just give them enough room to write the solution. I want them to do it on their own paper. So the solution can go right in there, I'm pretty sure. So for this problem, we want to simplify. So it's going to be my instruction, simplify. And this type of problem I want to put in is one of those imaginary number problems. So I'm going to completely start over and I'm going to just type I, and I have an exponent. So you're going to use the little caret and then you're going to put in the number that you want for your exponent. And you see how in the little preview box, it shows up what you want. All right. Now there is an option called inline. And all that does is it kind of adjusts everything. So if I were to, let's click update on that just to have it. If I were to click inline here, it would keep it would reduce your fractions so that they are in line with the constants. It makes the constants bigger and it makes your fractions and your parentheses and things like that fit better. So it's not a bad way to go. It just depends on what you like. I don't know that I like it for that problem, but maybe for this problem. We'll see. I'm going to take it off for now just to see what it looks like until I'm done. Plus 5, plus 3. And now I need to put in a square root symbol. So I'm going to do a /SQRT. And then whatever you want underneath your square root, you put that in brackets. So I want -9 in here. So you see how it just automatically covers the -9. Whatever amount of stuff you type in here, like if I wanted to put +3 -4, it extends. So it fits whatever goes in that bracket, which is really cool because sometimes, if you manipulate or draw it yourself, you have to put a line over the top of it. that may or may not necessarily do exactly what you want it to. So -2 and another square root. And this one is going to be -4. And I'm going to update this. And now I'm going to have to resize it because I messed around with it. Now, one of the things that I have found with Canva is that if you can't get it to reduce in size, you just zoom in and then you can grab it and it will reduce the way that you want it to. And you can get your numbers to the size that is comparable to the size up here. And what I do is I typically will take and drag over the top, and if it's the same size, then I leave it alone. The other thing you can do is you can see you've got that alignment. Whenever it is lined up with the front here, you got that little line that automatically shows up. That helps you with your alignment on your worksheet. This is a great feature to have. So again, I just want them to have room to put in the solution underneath. So Control C, I'm going to do another one like that. Drag it over here, align it, and I'm also aligning it. You see how my grid lines pop up, so it shows it's completely aligned with the row on the left, and it's also aligned with what's above, so I can let go of it and know that it's in the right spot. Now I just click on this and I put in my new problem. So I'm going to have 3i with the caret, which is just the little hood symbol over the 6, so Shift 6 on your keyboard, and that gives you your exponent. And here's another exponent, and that is, yes, that is my problem. Let me update that, and I'm going to just shift it over to where it looks close, keeping it all aligned. And there's that. Not hard. Once you get the hang of it and you memorize the ones that you use the most, like fraction, square root, exponent, those are going to go really quick once you get in the hang of typing those out, because we tend to use the same ones over and over again in a particular subject, right? As you come across each concept, you just add that one in. So now we're going to do some more. I'm going to do a solve. And one of the things I like, notice it's going to tell me, it's telling me on the screen that these are the same distance apart now. So I know I have the same gap between problems, so it helps you to arrange on the page in a way that is pleasing to the eye, but you also don't have to think about it. You don't have to measure it. You don't have to come up with like a box to go in between to make sure they're the same distance and you're giving the same amount of space if that's what you want to do. It just automatically tells you. So I'm going to drop that here. I know it's aligned. I'm going to change this to solve. And I'm going to shorten that up a little bit. And then I'm going to click on my LaTex. And this one is going to be a large square root. And inside of that square root, I'm going to have x. And you can put things inside of things too. So I have an exponent here, minus 4x plus 39. And that's what goes in my square root. Now I have plus 1 on the outside is equal to x plus 4. And that, I mean, we're getting into some pretty complicated type, but it's really easy to put in because of the LaTex. And again, I need to zoom in a little bit so that I can reduce this. I need to make sure my 4s are about the same size, and they're close. So I just want to make sure that the bottom is aligned with the bottom of my text for the word solve, and then put that in about the right spot. Okay, so I'll do that again. I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to align it over here. And now I'm going to zoom in so that I can adjust on this, put in a new problem. This one is going to say square root x minus 3 plus 2 equals -4, and update. And then because this is fewer characters, it enlarged them a little bit. So I'm just going to reduce it a touch. And again, I'll measure based on similar characters. That looks about the same size. So I'm going to drag it in, line it up about the right spot. And there we go. If it looks a little bit low, it looks a little bit low to me. So I'm going to bring it up here and align it with the top there. Now, I back out, I look at it, I make sure it all looks good. Again, I just want them to have room to write the solution in here. So you could keep doing that. I've got some more. I'm going to do a couple more complex ones so that you can see exactly how easy these are. So let's do another simplify, just so I don't have to copy, retype that word. I can just copy it. So again, I'm going to drag it down here to where it tells me it's the same distance. And then and there's a solution for that too. If you're not sure, or you want to make sure on the back end, I'll show you that at the back end. I'm going to click my LaTex. And I have a rather complicated problem to put in here. So I've got a square root of a square root to simplify. So we're going to do square root, and then that's what goes in the square root. Here's my bracket, right? So within the square root, well, this one has an index. So to do an index on a square root, you just use a square bracket, and the index here is 5. So there's my index. So you put the bracket in front of the curly bracket, the square bracket in front of the curly bracket, gives you your index on the radical, and then you're going to put whatever you want under. So what I want under is 3, and I want another square root. Square root of 3. There we go. Had too many curly brackets there. So I need a closing brace. So I've got the 5th root of 3 times the square root of 3. So that is going to be what I put in here. And you could see how it kind of shrunk it down a little bit. I want to bring that back up to size. I'm going to check my size. That's about right. So this is what we're simplifying. Sometimes I don't necessarily line these up with the bottom, but I will. So simplify that one. Give me a solution. I'm going to do 2 more of these. Control C. This time I'm going to line it up in the center, if I can. Yeah, so that is in the center of the page. And I want to simplify this one, and I'm going to change it to an index of 4. Notice how if it's a similar structure, all you have to do is change the numbers. 4, and then this is going to be a 2. And if I update that, my numbers just shift, and I don't have to do any extra work, right? Because it was already done to a certain extent. I'm going to do 1 more of these, Control CV. Bring that all the way to the end over here, making sure it's lined up. And I'm going to click this, and this is going to be a little bit different. I've got -16, but then I have an exponent that is a fraction. So if you have more than 1 digit that is going to be an exponent, you need to enclose it in curly brackets. So curly bracket, curly bracket. So whatever I put in here is going to be the exponent. Okay. Again, if you just have 1 digit, then you don't need to do the curly brackets. But if you have more than 1 digit, then a curly bracket is needed to house it, because otherwise it will jump back down to its, the natural line. So in the curly bracket, I want a negative fraction, a -3/4. So I'm going to do fraction, numerator, denominator. My numerator is -3, and then my denominator is 4. However, if you're one of those, you feel like you really need to have that negative on the outside of the fraction, you just move it to the outside of the fraction, and then you get that. So it's up to you how you want to format that. They're the same thing. So let's update. And we see it changes the font size just a little bit. So I'm going to shrink it down. Again, you have to get into the page a little bit. And I'm going to just compare the size to make sure it looks about the same size as the others. That's about right. And then I can drag it in right here. All right, so now let's look at that. I've got 3 of those. And I think what I want to do actually is drag all of these over so they align with the right side of the page instead of being aligned with the center. You can see how easily I did that just by moving that over, and now it aligns with the edge of the page. I think I want to actually align, no, I think that's good. I think aligning that with the outside is fine. I think I do want to change this a little bit. Let's align this to the margins there and there. And then I'll shift this over a little bit. Let me unlock it entirely. And if I just click on it, it'll let me just edge that over. All right, so now I'm going to lock that back down. And I'm going to take all of these and shift them over. And the reason I'm shifting them is because sometimes your printer doesn't necessarily want to print all the way to the edge. It's up to you how you want to format your page and how you want everything aligned. I think that looks a little bit less cluttered to have it aligned over here, a little bit more evenly distributed. So now let's do a few more complex problems that they need to go over. I'm going to do a fraction under a square root. So Control C, Control V. You move this down about the same distance from the other, and we're going to go over that spacing here in just a minute. So this one is going to be some square roots with fractions in them. So again, we start with the square root, and then we have within that square root, and it is a square, it's not a index, I have a fraction on the inside of that. So I do fraction, bracket, bracket. So now I'm going to put my numerator here, and that is a 2. My denominator here is a 13. So there's my first term. And then I'm going to do -4, and I have another square root fraction, square root. And inside the square root, I have a fraction, numerator, denominator. Numerator is going to be 13, and the denominator is going to be 2. Now I have +3 and a regular square root, just a whole number square root, and that is 234. And that is my problem. So now I'm going to stretch that out, kind of looking at my size of my text, making sure it's about the same size. That looks about right. And I'm going to drop that in. Okay, and then I have one more like that I want to do. And it's a simplify. That's better. All right, let's do this last one. They're still kind of struggling with these. So I'm going in here. I'm going to create a fraction for reducing. That's fairly complex. In the numerator of this one, I have parenthesis x to the o to the 0, sorry, yp. And then that is to the -3. Then I have x to the 3rd power, yp to the 0 power, p to the -2 power. All right, and that is my numerator. Now my denominator is a lot of variables, some parentheses. And like I said, once you get in the hang of it, it comes fairly natural what you have to do to get your terms in there. and you get to the point where you don't really even think about it very much. You just know, oh, an exponent, you got to put in the hood, or the caret is what they call it. And then that is my problem. And then what I usually do is I just compare it to my book or to whatever problems I've written out and double check to make sure it's what I want. And then that's correct, so I update that. And that's about the size I want it, so I leave it like that. So I have one more type of problem to do, and it's one of the harder ones to do in LaTeX, or LaTeX. I still have a hard time switching over. I've called it LaTeX for so long because that's what it looked like. That's not what it's actually called. And that's a long division type problem. So I did find on Google, on the internet, the coding in LaTeX for a long division problem. So Control-CV, just to make the illustration a little bit better. Solve. So let me pull up that problem. Okay, so I've got my problem pulled up, or in front of me, I should say. And what I want to do is divide. It's polynomial division. So I want to review that process with them on this worksheet. But I also want to show you how to do long division. So I have gone to the internet and I have found a Pressbooks guide from BC Campus. How do I create a long division equation in LaTeX? And basically, all you got to do is find the code on whatever website it is that you want to use and just copy and paste it. So we're going to do this, starting with a slash all the way to the end. We're going to copy and paste, Control-C, and then go over to Canva, and I'm going to put that in this LaTeX box. And whatever it tells you it doesn't need down here, take it out. And that tells me I don't need the enclosed, so I'm going to take that out. Now, this is what I want. This is the shape that I'm looking for. So I'm going to replace these things within the shape with the numbers that I have, with the complexity that I have. So I am dividing, my divisor is -4 plus x. Now we know that's not in the right format, but that's something that they have to figure out. And then the thing that I want to have them divide, the polynomial, is also not in the right format. So 2 plus 5x minus 2x, and then that's going to be squared plus 5x cubed. And that's the problem. So that is how you would put in a long division. Anytime you have a symbol, you know, we know how to go and teach ourselves as educators, but anytime you have a symbol that you're not sure, or a format you're not sure how to do, just Google it. Google it, find the code, and then drop it in your LaTeX formula and play with it. You know, substitute in what you want until you figure out how to get the preview to look like what you want it to look like. So I'm going to click update, and then I'm just going to scroll it down. Again, you might have to zoom in to get it there. And I'm looking at the -4. I want to make it about the same size. It's a little bit big. Just bring it down a little bit more. That's about right. That's about the same size. It's close enough. So I'm going to drop that in. And there's my problem, right? So these are all the problems that we want to go over in class since we're having a short day. I'm going to click off of LaTeX so that I can just zoom in on my problems. So one of the things that you can do is lock in or group together your items. And, you know, sometimes it will, sometimes it won't let you. So I'm going to like this, it will not let me lock it in. So because it's text and LaTex, it doesn't want to combine it like it does up here where it lets you group it together. So what I'm going to do is I am going to adjust based on the type of problem. And this is where you can kind of play with it a little bit, where you have things aligned. I think I am going to move this over just a little bit more. There's that. And I think instead of having this right directly in the center of the page, I'm going to move it over just a little bit more so that I can align this with the edge of these problems. Same thing here. But I also think I need more room for this problem. So I'm going to scooch these up just a bit. So there's still room for them to write their solution, but they have to solve it on other paper. All right, so that tells me those are the same distance apart. 1.302. Those are the same distance apart. All right, that's the same distance apart. And all right, so I'm not sure that I like the spacing on that. I want there to be more room down here at the bottom. I think I want this bottom one to be right here, so they have room to write it underneath. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out, and I'm just going to select the LaTex that's in my column, and I'm going to go to position, and then I'm going to click vertically. I want it to be evenly spaced between the top problem and the bottom problem. So vertically does that for me. Then all I have to do is align these other problems to the top of this one. And you just click top and it moves everything up. If you wanted it moved down, you would just click bottom. So I'm just going to click top, top. And now I'm even going to click the divide. Actually, it's already aligned the way I want it. So now everything looks like it has room for an answer. If you wanted to, you could draw boxes around that so that the answer is very clear. All you would do is go to Elements, find a box, and then take out the color, give it a border, change the border weight to something a little bit thinner. I like to use 1. And then you could really easily just create a box for the problem. And see, you know, what you need to do for each one. You could easily put a little box around each one, however you want to make it work for your page. So it's clear what the solution is based on its location, which problem it goes with. And I think I'm going to do that for this just to make it a little bit more clear. And when I do that, I find that I think I want to realign these again. So I'm going to move this box to the back. And then I'm going to lock it in place. Move this to the back. And I'm going to lock it in place, to the back, and lock it in place, to the back, and lock it in place. And you can see it's kind of a process, right? Now, when I select, I'm just getting the problem, and then I'm going to move this up into the corner of my problem. So there's a lot of fun little things that you can do, ways to rearrange it to make it look nice and orderly, to give your students what they need to make life easier on yourself. And the beautiful thing is once you've got this all kind of set up the way that you want to, you can create a PDF document from it that is really easy to share, and then you could actually list it to sell for other teachers to get the benefit of your hard work on Teachers Pay Teachers, or you can offer it as a freebie on Teachers Pay Teachers if you're not somebody who's trying to make a little profit on the side for the effort you're putting in teaching. That's perfectly fine too. So it's up to you how you use this LaTeX or LaTeX feature, but I really think it's a great feature to use. It really helps me do a better job as a teacher to be able to put together my own worksheets and not have to, have multiple elements where I'm drawing in, like manually drawing in a square root or a radical symbol, where I'm manually sizing down an index number or an exponent and then hovering it over. I have found that when you do that, then sometimes when you create a PDF, the document is the elements on the document are shifted. But when it's all one element like this, when it is a LaTeX formula or element, it doesn't shift. It stays right where you put it, and that's a really great feature to have. I have done worksheets where the little zero before they had LaTeX, I would have to put each symbol that wasn't the main line size. I'd have to make space. I'd have to put in the index. I'd have to put in the exponent. I'd have to do all of those as separate individual pieces, and then I would create the PDF and it would shift. And then I have to go back and I'd have to shift those again and then create the PDF again and then double check and see if I shifted it over enough. This makes that so much easier. It takes away the guesswork. I highly recommend, if you are a math educator of any higher math at all, that you give LaTeX a try. And in Canva, they make it so easy to use it because it's built into the system. And I'm not quite through this worksheet, but I'll show you how to create a PDF of it. You click Share, you click Download, and then you change this over to PDF Print, which is great. Flatten the PDF. You always want to flatten the PDF so that it is a picture and it doesn't shift as much. And also so it makes the size of the PDF smaller as far as your digital memory is concerned, so that you can share it more readily on other platforms. When you flatten the PDF, all of these are converted to images in just pixels instead of an actual text. Although it can be read as text depending on the program somebody else pulls it into. So then you click Download. You give it a minute, and then it's going to give you the option to name it whatever you want to name it. By default, it's whatever is on your header right here. I'm going to change that to midterm review. If I can actually, there we go. Midterm review. And this is Algebra 2. And then I'm going to save it to my downloads folder. You can also change where you save it to. And then when I click save, it gives me the option to show it in the Finder. It pulls it right on up so that I can see it. And then I can double click it, open it up, and print it. And notice nothing has shifted. All of your exponents, all of your indexes, all of your little your characters are exactly the way you want them to be. You don't have to worry about any movement in the PDF flattening process because it's all one thing. And that's all I have. That's all I wanted to show you, is how easy it was to use Canva to make worksheets for more complex math problems using the LaTeX feature. I hope that this was of some use. I hope that this helped you, and I hope you have a great day. And I'll see you in the next video.